friends, it's Ms. Jones. I'm here to teach a mini lesson. The title is The Pocket Watch. This selection is a historical fiction story. Historical means it's something that happened in history. However, fiction means it's false fantasy fake. But historical fiction together means that it did not happen in true life, but it could actually be something that happens in real life. We're going to be focusing on the settings and events of the story. We know that we're looking at the different story elements. There are 5 of them. We have the characters, the setting, key events, problem, and solution. So we're also going to be comparing and contrasting different things that happen in the story. While we are going through the story, I want you to keep in mind 3 questions. The first one is, what is the setting of the story? The second one is, what are the brothers fighting over? And the third one is, what is this story mostly about? So with the pocket watch, we also want to know, what is a pocket watch? How many of you have seen one before? Are you familiar with that? And when we get to the explore section, we want to explore, how do the settings in the pocket watch add to your understanding of the story? So if we said historical fiction, then we know this is something that happened, that is historical, happened in history. I think we're ready to get started. The Pocket Watch by Anthony McPherson. We're looking at the first paragraph, and I will be doing SNOT. I will put small notes on the side for each one. The paragraphs have already been labeled, numbered. Margaret had gone out to the barn to fetch a pail of milk. On her way back inside, she gazed at the green and peaceful fields of her family's Connecticut farm. It was a sunny, mild day in April 1775, so calm compared with what Margaret feared might be coming. For just last week, fighting had erupted between the British and the colonists in the towns of Lexington and Concord. Margaret wondered if there would be more fighting. So if I'm looking at this first paragraph, and I'm going to put a small note on the side, I'm going to say Margaret was happy, but also worried about fighting that had occurred. All right, so now we are going to look at our second paragraph. Grasping the pail of milk, Margaret turned towards the house and went through the back door and into the kitchen, where her mother was preparing supper. The quiet she had experienced outside was shattered almost as soon as she set down the pail. Her 2 younger brothers, who were in the front room, began shouting and arguing. The sounds of a struggle began. So here we are with our small note on the side, and Margaret is she's back inside. She works at a farm. She's working at the farm with her family, and so we see that Margaret was calm outside, but inside, her brothers were arguing. Okay, so that's my small note on the side. Just something that I quickly gathered from that paragraph. Okay, moving to paragraph 3. Margaret and her mother went into the dark, dusty front room to see what the fight was about. George, the younger of the 2, was hunched over and clutching something shiny in his hand. William, a head taller than George, was clambering over his little brother and trying to pry the shiny object loose. So for my small note on the side, I think I'm just going to say that her brothers were fighting over a shiny object. Now we're going to look at our fourth paragraph. "It's mine," shouted George, pulling away from his brother. "Father said I could carry it today." So for this small selection, I'm just going to say George said it was his. Now paragraph 5. "Why should you get it? I'm older," shouted William. "It's mine by right." So then I will just say William said it was his. So now we're at our next paragraph, which is paragraph 6. "Boys," said their mother, "how can you fight over a timepiece when one of our neighbors has just lost their lives fighting the British?" Oh my. Mom feels that her sons are not doing the right the right thing. Now we're at paragraph 7. George and William looked at each other and then looked down, ashamed. Margaret was glad when the two promptly apologized to each other and admitted it really didn't matter who got to carry the watch. Brother, they agreed, should not fight brother. So I'm going to put the boys felt bad and no longer fight it. Okay. Awesome. So that's our reading for today. Now we're going to move on to our graphic organizer. So explore, how do the settings in the pocket watch add to your understanding of the story? So we have a think, and it says complete the chart by comparing the settings and events of paragraph 1 with the settings and events of paragraph 3 through 6. So paragraph 1, if we can recall, is about Margaret when she is outside by herself and she's getting some items for the pail. So if I were to look at the setting, I'm going to say that, let's see here. We can say it's a sunny day. A sunny day and so what month was it? April. All right. A sunny day in April. And this took place in 1775. And the setting is on a farm in Connecticut. And the events that occurred on that day is Margaret, capital M. Margaret walks back to her house. What else happened that day? She had a pail full of milk. Okay. What else happened? She sees, or I'm going to say she feels peaceful. Those are the events that I can see that happened in paragraph 1. Now, when we get to paragraph 3 through 6, which is really the rest of the story, we want to see where did this happen. So the where is the house, front room. That's where all the action took place, in the front room of the house. The setting, now we're back at the setting. We're still looking at paragraph 3 through 6. All right. They describe the room as dark and dusty. And then the different events that occurred. So the events, here we go with our thought bubble. All right. The boys were arguing. That's one event that happened. They both wanted to carry their father's watch. Okay. And in the end, they regretted arguing. Because why'd they regret arguing? They regretted arguing because people had lost their lives.